In order to scale and skyrocket your business, you need to have more eyeballs on your brand. And one way to do this is by increasing your reach through media, organizations, and outlets. Landing bigger opportunities will do wonderful things for your business, like grow your prospective clients list, establish credibility, and create more demand for your products and services. That's why you must learn how to successfully pitch yourself in order to land bigger opportunities, because doing so will amplify both your income and impact. So in this week's episode of the Online Business Clinic podcast, I'm sharing with you my 7 success tips for landing bigger opportunities. So hang tight. Hey there, you're listening to episode 34 of the Online Business Clinic podcast, How to Pitch Yourself to Land Bigger Opportunities. I'm your host, online marketing expert, and business growth strategist, Molly Ann Luna, and this is the place to be to build a profitable and portable business. So thanks for joining me. Now, I want to dive into those 7 success tips here very quickly. But before I do, I want to make sure that you understand that before you start crafting your pitch, there are 3 essential things you absolutely must be able to answer. Number 1, you need to know who you are as a business owner and what it is you have to offer, that unique selling point, if you will. Number 2, you need to know who it is that you serve and what problem specifically you help solve for that client. And number 3, you need to have something unique to say. Chances are there are thousands of other business owners out there doing what you do, but it's your unique take on it that attracts your perfect client. So before you do all of the nitty-gritty work of crafting your perfect pitch to land those big-time media and marketing opportunities, you need to know these 3 things. There really is nothing new under the sun. And with Google, the answers that we seek are only a fingertip away. But we don't want to have some robotic solution to our problem presented to us. We want a connection. We want to connect with you. We want to be able to more fully experience ourselves through witnessing your unique point of view, even if we don't agree with it. We want to be able to sift and sort through your perspective so we can come to our own conclusion. And the only way we're able to do that is if you come and bring your uniqueness, your you-ness, into the content that you create. Now, for example, I was recently scrolling through Facebook and this video popped out, and it said, this is a viral video that a dad had done in regards to saying he is saying absolutely no sleepovers for his kids whatsoever. And here in America, at least, sleepovers tend to kind of be, what do I want to say, a staple of childhood, like a rite of passage, if you will. And I thought, what? No sleepovers? And so I immediately clicked on it, and then I heard him out, and he really presented a very strong viewpoint as to why he believes there is no need to have sleepovers. And by the end of the video, I was like, well, I'm not sure if I fully agree or I fully don't agree, but I 100% appreciated his perspective. And then it sparked a conversation between my husband and I about how we want to raise our children and if sleepovers will be a thing or it won't be. But none of that could have unfolded. I couldn't have, more fully experienced myself and my role as a parent or had that conversation without this courageous dad saying, look, this is what works for our family. This is my point of view. Like it or don't, take it or leave it. So I'm so grateful for that. And so you want to be creating that similar type of content in your own brand and business where you just, whatever it is you believe, just hold on to it. And then those people that resonate with it will be more likely to follow you, to learn from you, to buy from you. The next thing you need to do before you craft your perfect pitch is to do a little research. And what you need to know first and foremost is you need to know exactly what are your specific business goals. Okay? Is it to acquire new clients? Is it to get new membership registrants signed up for your signature course? Is it to sell more books? What is your business goal? then you need to know what your message is. What is it that you're trying to get out there? What's that piece of information that those new prospective clients or those new prospective buyers need to know before they are willing to buy? The third thing you need to do in your research phase is to set your platform targets. So go out there and be looking at other people in your lane, your competitors, if you will. I'm using air quotes because I really don't believe in competitors. When you are coming from your authentic self and you're sharing your unique point of view, there is no competition. You are your competition. But be looking at other people in your lane who are doing similar things or the things that you want to be doing. So if one of your big goals, let's say, is to land a local news segment, or maybe you wanted to get national and get a segment on the Today Show, and you have seen other people in your industry land those gigs, set your targets, okay? And you want to make sure, though, it's not just for an ego boost, but it's specifically going to be a platform, whether it's through podcasting, through radio, through television, or some other medium, that is going to get in front of your ideal clients. Okay, so yeah, it's cool to land big gigs, but unless it is speaking directly to your ideal client, who you are trying to solve that problem, who you are trying to get them to buy your specific book or your program or your coaching package, it's all futile. So make sure that you are choosing the platforms that align best with the delivery of your message and who it is you're trying to reach. And then step number 4 is you've got to start building relationships. And this can be done by leveraging social media, of course. I think that nothing beats in-person relationships, but if you're trying to connect with somebody overseas or somebody who's just like in a completely different time zone, you might have a harder time doing that. So you can start by leveraging things like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, any way like that, and just be doing your research. Head to their website, see if there's a form that you can fill out or who that head media person is that you're going to need to be crafting your pitch or that cold email, if you will, to. Now, better yet is if you have somebody who can introduce you, then that is great. So be leveraging your current relationships to be building out your new relationships for whom it is that you need to be speaking with to ultimately submit your pitch to and land that bigger opportunity. Okay, now shifting gears and really getting into the meat and potatoes of this episode. Oh my God, I'm such a Midwestern girl. Anyway, I have my 2-step cold email pitch formula that I'm going to break down for you, and then I'm going to pivot into my 7 success tips to make sure that everything is right and tight. So get ready to take some notes. Okay, first up, we're talking about the cold email pitch formula. Now, again, if you have somebody that can introduce you to this individual that you do not know, this is when we call it's a cold lead. You do not know this person. They've never met you before. They've never heard from you. It is a cold lead. If you've got someone that can introduce you, great. Do that and at least warm up that lead. But we're just assuming here you don't know who this person is. It's a cold email. Got it. Step number 1, you need to craft together an irresistible headline to grab their attention. So chances are these people who work in the media platform, whether, again, it's some big magazine that you're trying to get on or big television, whether it's local or national, they are probably getting bombarded with emails. And so the very first thing that needs to grab their attention is your headline on your email. So an example might be, now build that 6-figure business without a big budget. Or what we learned when this failed miserably. Or if you've got that warm lead, you can say, Mary Smith, or whatever her name is, she recommended that I get in touch with you. But what I want you to do is I want you to make that headline either about them or just make it very clear to them, what is going to be inside of this email. Not saying, oh, hey, I've got a pitch for you, but giving them a little teaser, if you will. A great headline example to make it more about them so they're more likely to open it or click it. You could write something like, thoughts about your latest post on fill in the blank, whatever it is. Or, I've been loving your podcast. Episode number 28 rocked my world. Be specific. Tie it back into something that they've created or that they have published already. And of course, do send them some kudos. Now, step number 2, inside the actual body of the email, This is where you've got to spend your time building rapport. And yeah, you're going to tell them a little bit about who you are and what it is you have to offer, and of course, the idea that you have to pitch to them. So if you're trying to, let's say, get your blog article published on Mind Body Green or Huffington Post or Success Magazine or Forbes, you are going to make sure that you have that content in there. Like, this is who I am, this is the value that I bring, this is the idea I have. However, you've got to craft it artfully in a way that actually makes it more about the recipient of the email, the decision maker, right? This is your opportunity to build rapport. So make it very clear to them that you understand who their audience is. Okay, so if it's Mind Body Green, for example, that's going to probably be a lot of health and wellness enthusiasts, coaches, trainers. So for example, if it's Success Magazine, that might be an audience of a ton of entrepreneurs or business owners. Or if it's Mind Body Green, it's going to be more like health enthusiasts. You want to make it very clear that you understand what the platform is and what audience they serve. And that you're sending them, this is not a mass pitch. This is not a cookie cutter script that you've sent out. You're going to make sure that you show them how unique you are, what your expertise is, what specific products or services you offer that actually fit into their business model, or how it's best going to serve their audience. You're going to start with a personal introduction, and then you're going to give them some information about you, about why you think you would make a really great guest. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to hone in on your expertise and you're going to share results. So something like sharing an inspirational story or a story that has had a big transformation in your life, this will be helpful. So an example I can give you, and I use this same type of model when I'm choosing to pitch myself to other podcast creators as being a guest on their show. Okay, I'll say something like, hey there, I listened to your latest episode number 12 of the I Am Awesome podcast, whatever it is. And what I really loved or what really stuck out to me was this. Or this is the thing that I'm now going to go and take and implement into my own life or my own business. So you immediately want to, give them kudos, let them know like, hey, I'm out here, I'm reading your stuff, I'm loving it, you're doing great, and these were my key takeaways. So that tells them, one, that you aren't just sending out a mass email, you've actually done your research, you've invested some time into understanding their platform, their voice, and two, you really understand, the layout of the show or the segment or the way they prefer their blog articles to be written. It helps show that you've done your research. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to include some bullet points as to what has been covered or will be covered during the interview or the segment or the article that you're going to write for that particular magazine. So share your really great advice or your proven success strategies that are going to really help their audience solve a problem. Even if it's a simple problem, it's got to solve some sort of a problem. Now, in the body of the email, the key here is going to be to keep it very brief. I know it sounds like we're covering a lot, but the key is to keep it brief. So I have a few success tips here for you, and I do just want to mention that I put together a success worksheet for you. So I have given you a complete outline that you can use as your framework, and then you can kind of plug and chug your own things in there and really color it up and make it really customized to whom it is you're going to be presenting your pitch to. And you're going to be able to download that by heading to mollyandluna.com/podcast episode number 34. But before we do that, let me just share with you these quick 7 success tips to make sure that your pitch gets opened and you've got a better opportunity to land those bigger gigs. Success tip number 1, personalize it. You need to make every stage of this experience, of this new relationship that you're building, very personal. Again, you're trying to connect with somebody that you probably have never met face to face. And when you're reaching out on, say, social media or LinkedIn or just through email, you need to make sure that they know that you actually care about them. You understand that there's a person, there's a recipient on the other end. And so make it as personal as you can. Reference their work. Be specific about what resonates with you. Mention the specific publication or where it was that you read their article, or how it is that you found them, or if it's a podcast you're pitching, how did you find their podcast? Let them know how you found them. And then be sure to specifically use the writer's name. And this sounds so dumb, but it's so important. Make sure you spell their name correctly. I don't know how many emails that I get from people who do not understand my name is Molly Ann Luna. And then they can't spell it. I mean, if they would have even taken a second to Google me, it's plastered everywhere, all over my website. It's all over my social media handles. It's not that hard. Make sure you spell their name correctly. And then in the body of the pitch, make sure that that is customized as well. Do not give a canned response. It is very painfully obvious when it is a mass-produced email that just feels like, oh, you're just blasting this all over, just trying to go for quantity and not quality. Make it personal. Success tip number 2, give. Give something before you expect to get. So a really easy thing to do is to just share their work with your audience. So if it's a blog article that you've read, then click share. Share it to your Facebook community. Share it on your Instagram. Share it out in your email newsletter. If you liked it and it resonated with you and you think it'll also provide value to your audience, make sure you're sharing their work. Seek to add value to them first, and then let them know, oh my God, I love this so much. I sent it out in my monthly newsletter to my audience. They loved it. And then if there's a transformation that came about, make sure you share that story with them too, letting them know that, hey, I really am not just trying to get something from you, but I am also trying to help support your own creative endeavor. I do this all the time. I love listening to podcasts, and if I find one that really, really resonates with me, I have no problem sharing it inside of my community over at the Legacy Leaders community or inside of my Mindful Mamas community, because if it's going to provide value to them, I want to make sure it's getting shared. Which ties into my success tip number 3, add value. I want you to get into that mindset that you do have value to share. So ask yourself before you craft your perfect pitch, how can I add value? And then make your point of view timely and relevant. Success tip number 4, package it. Put your content together in such a way that fits their platform's mold. Avoid all copy and paste, do not be generic, and make sure that you're including a clear call to action. Tell that editor what it is that you want to do next. Make it very, very easy for them. Maybe offer to write up the full featured article before they decide to say yes and take a chance on you. Or have them listen to one of your podcast episodes and make sure you send a direct link to say, this is how I present. And if you like it, let me know. Give them a taste or a sampling, of what they can expect. Package it in a way that helps to fit their mold. Number 5, match it. Be sure to match the tone of the platform that you're pitching. Do not use jargon like innovative or unique, because honestly, if we're being really honest here, if what it is you're presenting is innovative or it is unique, that will be obvious. It'll just come through. So don't be using any of those flashy words, and don't be using specific industry jargon that the recipient of your pitch email might not get. In the military, there's so much jargon, and sometimes I catch myself using it in my day-to-day language, and I have to be mindful of that even when I'm speaking with you here inside of this podcast, oh, you know what? You might not necessarily know what the term dress right dress means. So it doesn't really make sense for me to use it, which means, and I was going to use another form of jargon, squared away, which just means orderly. Okay, see, that's jargon that I've gotten from a military background that I still kind of use in my day-to-day language. Certainly do not want to be including any of that in a pitch when you're speaking to someone who probably does not have a military background. Or, for instance, in this podcast, if you listening do not have a background in that, try to speak in such a way that makes sense to the recipient, which Lord knows I try, but I don't always succeed. Okay, moving on. Tip number 6, follow up with a second email. If you do not hear back from them, do not take this as a no. Keep in mind, a lot of these people who are publishing content, they are very, very busy people who get a ton of emails. And so they might have had every intention to email you back and just didn't get to it, or it just, has not gotten open yet. Send a secondary follow-up email and make sure that you add some of those key bullet points and reference back to the first email you send. And then success tip number 7, make sure that your home page on your website, you are actually ready to receive leads. Okay, so if you don't have your website built, you got to go back. We've got to get that going, because once they say, yes, I will feature you as a guest on my show, or yes, you're going to be a featured writer in Forbes magazine or Success magazine, or you're going to land that Today Show spot. You want to make sure that whatever eyeballs or ears end up consuming your content and they love you and they want to find out more, you have a place to direct them. Okay, so make sure your website is ready and rocking to go to capture those emails so you can start building upon those leads. I remember one of my business mentors, Shalene Johnson, she had shared with me a few years back how she had landed a segment on, what was that show called? It used to be called Regis and Kelly, and I can't think of who the host was at the time. It might have been Kelly and Michael, or The Kelly Show, but that television show out in New York. And it was a kick-ass segment, and she had so much fun, but she was like, but none of those eyeballs that saw that segment necessarily converted back into prospective clients, back into sales, back into building her business. And she said it was fun, but basically it led to nothing. And so you want to be making sure that you're not just trying to land big opportunities for ego's sake, but that you're doing it strategically to tie back into your business. Okay, that is all I've got for you today. I certainly hope that you found some value in today's episode. Like I said, I put together a success worksheet for you over at mollyandluna.com/podcast, episode number 34. You can head there now and you can download it, and it basically give you the exact framework and template that I use in my own business to land big speaking gigs for myself. So head to mollyandluna.com/podcast, download episode 34's success sheet today. And until next week, next Marketing Monday, I do hope to hear from you. Either leave me a comment in the show notes, or better yet, join us over inside of the Legacy Leaders community and let me know what one of your biggest takeaways was from this week's episode. Okay, otherwise I'll plan on seeing you right back here, same time, same place next week. Bye for now. Are you ready to build true wealth for both yourself and your future generations to come? If so, I'd like to invite you to become a legacy leader by joining us on Facebook inside of the Legacy Leaders community. This is the place to connect with heart-centered self-starters like yourself who are striving to master their minds and build a legacy. It's a place to let go of generational and cultural beliefs that have been holding you back. It's a place to reclaim your creative power, become your own boss, and build that profitable and portable business you've always dreamed of. Come create lifestyle and financial freedom with us inside of the Legacy Leaders community so that you too can live and leave your legacy.